On 4th April, Finland became 31st country to join NATO. Sweden is also in the line. But mind you, that is not the end. Ultimately, NATO also wants to have Japan on board. In January this year, NATO Chief Jens Stoltenberg openly called for a stronger partnership with Japan. He said joining hands with Japan was important to protect democracy. In fact, Japan has just opened a special diplomatic mission for NATO. But keeping all of this aside, is Japan willing to embrace NATO? Hell no. Tokyo has hinted that Japan won't further antagonize Russia and NATO membership is not on the cards. Hi and welcome, you're watching Outright. We tell you the right side of the story, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon for such outright videos. A few days ago, I made this video. I explained how Japan under Prime Minister Fumio Kishida is killing its own interests by playing second fiddle to USA. As a result of its actions post the Russia-Ukraine war, Tokyo has already lost the Kuril Islands to Moscow forever. But enough is enough. Japan is now finally taking a stand to defend its interests. Recently, it broke ranks with US and its allies and violated their embargo on Russian oil. Adding insult to Biden's injury, Japan purchased Russia's oil at a price above the cap decided by G7. Japan now understands supporting Ukraine is one thing, but running your country peacefully is another. You cannot bite the hand that feeds you. In November last year, Russia allowed Japan to retain its 30% stake in Sakhalin-1 oil and gas project. Russian fuel is an addiction that Japan cannot quit, no matter how hard it tries. It is important to note that Russia supplies 10% of Japan's total LNG imports and 2% of total oil imports. The bonus is that it is way cheaper than LNG imported from US or Australia. Frankly speaking, this episode comes as a rude awakening for the US and NATO. There is a limit to Japan's opposition to Russia, and it won't ever cross the Russian red line by openly embracing NATO. At the end of the day, Tokyo perceives China as its biggest threat, not Russia. So, as of now, Japan is saying a clear no to NATO. In fact, even NATO members in Europe themselves are skeptical about the possibility of Japan joining NATO. For example, in January this year, Croatia, a NATO member, publicly shamed the NATO chief for visiting Japan and South Korea. Croatian President Zoran Milanovic said, "I see that the chief of NATO is in South Korea and Japan. He does not represent me and my country there. It is not a NATO area, but it is in the neighborhood of China. It has nothing to do with Croatia." Well, some believe that NATO could actually help East Asian nations counter China. But really, here I can see both making cozy bed with each other, China and NATO. When it comes to honestly standing up to China, I don't trust NATO at all. It is good for nothing. In fact, I won't be surprised if NATO joins hands with China to ostracize Russia. We know Russia and China have bilateral problems too, because that is exactly what happened in the 1970s. During the Cold War, China and US were on the same side. For Japan, if that scenario unfolds again, it would be deadly. So it is already playing safe by keeping NATO at bay and by not completely ruining its ties with Russia.